I paint for a living. I don't have a lot of funds for representatives, and I don't have a lot of time to delegate to go around from town, county, and state and federal governments to look after my best interest until now, where we have new social media platforms, unlike we've had in the last 400 years. Until the last, 7 years has it been? 8 years? It's pretty good. Now, it is foreseen and foretold that we could all talk to everybody all at once. So, what I'm answering is my view, my interpretation of how to make a law. So there's town, county, state, and federal governments, and there's 3 branches in the federal government, which is the House of Representatives, the Senate, and the White House. Plus, now, really, the Supreme Court is one of them branches as well. Okay, and there is no, that is it. Those representatives, all them representatives control the government. But we need citizens to be able to make a comment, a forward motion, to be viewed and nominated for being on the agenda or whatever. Okay, this is how I think a law gets made. They establish a committee to research the physics of the project, as far as the allegations necessary and the delegations of the available allocated monetary amounts. And then they get it all worked into a business plan. And then they have a vote on it, and they add amendments and discuss it until they get their bill that they want to sustain the development or whatever project is in the immediate future. And then that goes to the House of Representatives, and they pass it, and then it goes to the Senate, and the Senate can make amendments and then send it back to the House, and then vice versa for a prolonged amount of time. Normally it's on an annual schedule as they vote themselves access to our wages. And I'm averse to that. I want one sales tax. And I want to make that law, and I want to see how that discussion goes. Gary Johnson has a platform of it. But I also want to get the senior citizens that really have seen their... I want people in there who's going to have a projected having to live with the consequences. I mean... Who cares what you do for 10 years if you're going to die? I mean, how you going? We need to have people involved in the government starting at 15 years old. I want to get a committee together and allow them to participate in the national elections so they can get integrated into the system of voting and maintaining their civil obligations, unlike we had before, and before we had the option to opt out or do whatever. We need to be sure that their parents have time to work with them and instruct them in their views as well on an equal playing field, not wait until college when it's just all the institution instructing them, because the institution has no set the workers don't have to be accurate in what they advise you to do. That basically you can't get no help out of these people, man. Okay? The formally educated are obstructionists by nature, as far as I can tell. I got blocked off my social media and all that, and I want to make a motion to establish a committee to... I don't like the speed of government because it allows for overlook. I mean, it just drags out, and we're more needs to be streamlined a little bit. Our social media platforms, I'm going to motion for our social media platforms to be a audit for civil appropriation delegations. Like, I get to vote on every bill of legislation in my virtual wall at least, and it gets calculated, and then we see where the representatives vote according to the constituents' desires. I'm tired. I'm not going to delegate I'm going to set up a social media platform, and then we're going to retain our delegation of our voice, because if we can't not just leave a comment, go, and think that we've been heard, we leave a comment now on Facebook, they can delete it after you're done with it and walk away. You know, that's a fact. They can delete it. I've got it documented where they delete some of my comments. Now they're doing it uniformly after the 5th comment of a discussion. I don't understand why they'd want to block somebody out in the middle of a town hall discussion, but they seem to like to think that they should, even if it is a civil comment, just totally cool. Okay, this is a long video. They're all long videos. They have to be long videos. If they really were in detail, the longer the better. I want to change the government within the parameters of what we got. I want to reinforce the individual citizens' personal possessions, being secure in their personal possessions. Second Amendment, we got to be sure we reinforce that and export it to the UN, as the UN, China, Africa, Cuba, the world is trying to move toward accountable world business government. And if you don't think that accounts to the civil laws of land in the countries, taxes on personal property and labor, you are so removed from what we need to be discussing coming into this election. You're 100% removed from what we need to be discussing coming into this election. The better way, a lot of talking points. I don't want to have to vote. I want to be able to delegate as a citizen a comment and walk away and be heard and be noted on official registry. I want to be able to review my neighbor's official registry. They might have a motion I haven't even thought of that would streamline and make life better in some avenue of commerce. I think I do. But the obstructionist representative system is not doing its duty because it is succumbing to the monetary dollar, and it's just going to keep getting worse as long as they think it's still going to last. We need to have a security representative system for securities, and in case the whole world gets blacked out in communications, there's a small group of people that can congeal and look after our best interest at the command center as we will be needed it, but not on this civil processes such as tax appropriations through property taxes. We should vote that stuff away. If we were allowed to make a motion and pass it to our neighbors and see if they second it, I'd like to see a sales tax, because that would incentivize people's places. It would incentivize hygiene, it would either incentivize you to make your place nice and hospitable for tourists, so you could in turn be a tourist, or an explorer. You know, you can host explorers. But trade tax, we're going to be trading, we're going to be using food, we're going to have to go and buy food. Eventually we need to become more rural, self-sustaining habitats like it used to be. And I think we can do that with Bluetooth and radio collars and all this great stuff we have. Forget autonomous vehicles or connected vehicles. Let's do connected grazing, eliminating the fences, riding our Y250s without fences. Woo! Good things. But we don't do anything that we should be doing to show that we got it made as of a minute ago. Now we can use propaganda and cultivate wars to eliminate heads, but how many heads you gotta eliminate to offset that exhaust from one round? How many rockets of people do you have to send to Mars to offset the rockets sending people to Mars on our resources? Now we need to get rigid materials up. Greenly, we need to get a fair tax system that encourages personal possessions, because when we leave the space and we go to Mars and we're out there farming for a while and then we come back, we don't need to owe a bill before we can come back and live. Okay, we just got to get rid of that, and we got to get rid of eminent domain. If somebody's there established and their works are facilitated on the facility, it's their facility. I mean, granted, if they die and they don't have no heirs, 10 years, hit the auction block. Or go to a trust for a land grant for a national park system. Unliquidatable national park system. Yeah, to tighten this up, but if somebody delegates resources to a national park system, unlike the administration we have right now, you should not be able to delegate and liquidate those land assets. Those land assets are supposed to be our national treasures, are sworn to protect our national treasures in our country. And those resources are necessary. So, why don't we protect them? I mean, we can definitely get by without running wires all over Africa. Matter of fact, we got so many wires in my front yard, I think I can make an independent energy generation device for my home, and 10 or 20 neighbors out of what's strewn up in the front yard. I live wherever the power lines are. I guess I don't know. The power lines definitely put off a residue. If they're using it, I don't know. Could be cool if they're using it, but at the same time, we don't need it no more. We just don't need it no more. We didn't need it to begin with. It's intellectual technology and patent laws where they suppress the technologies to give us free independent energy devices, such as a grandfather clock on steroids. You wind it up and it's going for 24 hours. I know, I tried to get in a machine shop. I must have a clock. Where did I see that clock? Did see a grandfather clock? I didn't have a dime though. Some piano too. But that ain't gonna make me no energy, is it? So, how do we make a law? Well, we find something that can get unanimous support and have a conversation about it and build a supportive resolution or something. I don't know. But I say what I want over and over and over and over, and I'm using virtual world because I don't have the resources to delegate to drive to wherever the meeting is 2 or 3 times a week, 4 times. I don't know. I don't want to mess with the town other than the transportation system. Fire department, 2-hour bus routes. I mean, that's the least you could do. I'd like to get up and walk out. I'd like to be spending this time walking to work versus driving. If I got there, it's good. If not, here comes the bus. At every stop sign, you should have the option to get on a bus and go to work. Or, why are we even paying any taxes if we don't get something physical, tangible, consistently out of our civil participation? Look at them hands. See them things? Worker hands. I've been at this for 4 years redundantly. Have a good day.